You have a rental property. In that rental property, you have tenants. Every once in a while, you will find that your tenants' fists have an intimate relationship with your drywall. It's funny because it's never happened to any property I own that had plaster walls. Just the half-inch drywall. For whatever reason, my tenants only punch things that are easily destroyed. Whatever's going on, not sure about that. You're not going to want to have to screw in backing all the time. For a little hole this big, there's a quick way to patch it that it doesn't require any drill or screw. You just need some scrap drywall, an X-Acto knife, and a trowel and some mud. I'd say basically you're not going to want to use this method on any holes that are larger than a 10-inch square. So I'll show you a quick, easy way to repair a fist-sized hole without screws or any wood. First thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to cut a piece of drywall from a scrap. If you have a scrap laying around, something like this, cut a piece of drywall that's maybe total about 6 inches wider than the hole that you're repairing. So now I've got a square. You're going to turn it around backward. You're going to cut the back paper, but you're not going to cut the face. You're going to leave about 2 inches all the way around is where you're going to score. So it's something like this. Okay, so there's your square, and there it is all scored up on the back. Break the drywall and separate the piece from the paper face. But you're going to totally remove the back, but you're going to leave the paper face. So you got an overlap like that. Okay? So you're going to do that there. Again. So then you've got a piece that looks like that. Okay? So now you're going to take this piece. You're going to put it over your drywall hole. Now you're going to trace this piece of drywall you got onto the wall with your knife. Okay? But I'm just going to put a little tick there at the top side so I know that that's the way that sits. It's going to go back in like that. Not like this, not like that. It's going to go back in like that when we're ready to patch it. Take a drywall saw and you're just going to cut out on your scored line. Okay? So now we have a nice square area that we can easily slide our patch into. That's actually a perfect fit. You want it to sit in the wall freely like that. When you take your mud, you don't need a whole ton of mud, but make sure you get it on the edge, the inside edge of that opening all the way around. I'm not talking on the face, I'm talking about on this edge. Rub it in there real well because there's drywall dust and crumbs on there that are going to prevent adhesion. So you want to make sure you've gotten rid of all the dust and you get a good adhesion to that edge of drywall all the way around. Like you don't miss a 1/4 inch. You get it everywhere. So make sure you get the entire inside perimeter first. So that's all coated. Now we're going to go around the face. You don't want any of this paper overlap to be touching bare drywall on the wall. You want mud all the way around, entirely behind that paper. So make sure you go wider. Then take your patch. You're going to basically do the same thing to the patch. You're going to make sure that you get this edge, cover it all the way around. Great, now I got it on my shirt. Amanda! So we've got it touching the edge of the drywall all the way around this edge. Find exactly how it's supposed to sit. Okay, that's going to go in, so I'm going to push it in with my blade over the corners. All right, so that way you're not pushing it in too far. You're pushing it in just flush with the existing drywall from those corners. You're still basically just sort of getting a position because it's going to want to move around a bit. Make sure you don't have any clumps of mud stuck behind that paper lip that you've created. Obviously that's not done, but that's good for one coat. So just let that sit. It doesn't need to look perfect. As long as you've gotten all the clumps out, so there's nothing sticking out that's going to be a problem later on. When you're patching things like this, sometimes you might not want to have a large pail of mud handy at all times. Now keep in mind this is pre-mixed mud compound, so this is really not the most strongest mud you're going to use. This is more for finishing. So like if you were going to finish a joint like this and it's already been taped and you're just skim coating, this mud's excellent for that. But when you need something that's stronger, you can use sheetrock. This is powdered form, so you have to mix it up. The different sheetrocks, we got sheetrock 5, sets up in 5 minutes. We got sheetrock 20, it sets up in 20 minutes, about 20 minutes. I mean, the amount of times you mix it up and you realize it's setting up way faster than what it said it would on the bag, that happens all the time. There's also sheetrock 45 and sheetrock 90. There's also, so those are stronger than regular mud when you're using sheetrock. But then if you want to go really strong, you got Durabond. Again, it has a number after Durabond 90. You can get other Durabonds, but the number after it is generally the amount of minutes that it's going to take before it starts to set up to the point where it's no longer trowelable. In this case, we use Durabond 90. Now, that's a bit overkill. We're just repairing half-inch ultralight drywall. But if you're going to repair something like plaster that's a lot harder, you probably want to be tying into it with something that's a lot more of similar consistency to plaster. So I would recommend Durabond for that. Now, keep in mind as well, this is not sandable. You can sand it, but you need a belt sand. Sheetrock doesn't sand as easily, but it sands much easier than Durabond. And yeah, so there you go.